Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for braving the heat, the parking situation, and making the time to be with us today at the end of summer and the launch of Celestina's 16th season. We really appreciate your presence and the support of some people that I'd like to thank. That would be Dr. Diane Henderson, who is here, Dr. Nirav Kamdar, Jerry and Terry Cole, June and Simon Lee, Ann Moore, Patsy and Dennis Burke, Patricia and Alan Jasper, who are also here, Raleigh Marcus, Patricia Martinez Miller, Ann and Leslie Peterson, Philip and Kristen Swan, and Dr. Daniel Temianka and Dr. Zainab Daba. Thank you so much. I'd also like to thank those at the Vendy Museum who have made this event possible today. So my name is Maia Jasper White. I am the co-founder, co-artistic director, and executive director of Celestina. I'm also a violinist, as is Kevin right here. And welcome to our first happy hour of the season. So what a happy hour is, this is something that we stumbled across during COVID. Every week we gathered on Zoom for, gosh, was it 2 years? Yeah, we had over 100 consecutive happy hours, so this numbered event, number 131, reflects that commitment that we made during the pandemic. And the gist of these events was to get to know a terrific artist that you would otherwise only really have contact with at a distance. And once everything came back to real life, we realized that happy hour, the kind of concept and format and what we were doing in those events, was in some ways the perfect reflection of Celestina's mission, which is effectively to throw the doors to our musical salon and our artistic space wide open to the audience, to share it with you, and to give you the opportunity to ask questions and interact with the great artists that we're fortunate to present on our series. So we will have 3 happy hours this season and another one this coming Sunday, or Saturday, the 30th is Saturday. Yes, that features our Young Composers Program, which is a zero-cost finishing school of sorts for the most gifted young composers that come across our radar, and they will be sharing their works virtually with our community. In December, we'll show Emmanuel Saison, who is the principal harpist of the LA Phil, at a special happy hour at the Doheny Mansion. You may know that venue in downtown LA. It's got the 1899 Tiffany glass dome up above. We also have 5 main series concerts this year. We're expanding not just to Pasadena and West LA, as we've done historically, but into Palos Verdes and Santa Barbara, and for the first time offering all of our main series programs in Orange County as well. Why am I going on and on about this? Well, there is a 20% off flash sale for subscriptions that we're only sharing here today with you. We're not announcing this publicly. It's sort of a way to thank you for joining us today and get things kicked off. Thanks, Adon. So yes, make good use of that by tomorrow at 5 p.m. That's when it goes away. So if you want to hang on to the magic that you're about to hear, that's how I suggest you do it. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Kevin to introduce Gloria.
Thank you, Maia. My name is Kevin Kumar. I am the co-artistic director of Celestina, and hello to the live stream as well. We are so delighted to present Gloria Cheng as our guest artist today. Maia and I have been discussing extending her an invitation for a number of years now, and the fact that it's actually happening is just very lovely to us. Much of our audience does some research before they come to our events, but in case you haven't, Gloria is a phenomenal pianist whose musical life encompasses an international concert career. She's been a soloist with major orchestras, including the Los Angeles Philharmonic, and is on their Green Umbrella series as well. She's one of the pianists of choice for studio calls for some of the most revered film composers of our times. She is an educator and mentor at UCLA, and she's really a champion of new music in recital, through music series, and on her solo recordings, for which she has won both a Grammy and an Emmy. So Gloria will perform some repertoire that she has chosen to share with you today, after which Maia and I will join her in conversation. And after that, we will invite you to be a part of that conversation by asking any questions that you might have for her. I just also want to say that as a Los Angeles-based concert series, for us, one of the reasons why we really wanted Gloria to be here was because in a lot of ways she really embodies Los Angeles musical culture. So without further ado, please help me welcome Gloria Cheng.
Thank you, Kevin and Maia, for. Oh, is it on now? Oh, okay. Just thank you to Maia and Kevin for this beautiful invitation to this amazing series, which I've not had the opportunity to interact with ever, and although you've been around for a while, and so I'm delighted to be here. Putting together a 40-minute program was a new kind of challenge for me. So it's sort of a sampler, a smorgasbord of short pieces that have been on my mind lately. And so I'm going to start with, I don't know what you have in the programs, it's probably a totally different order, but I'm going to start with a piece by Anthony Davis, who is a Pulitzer Prize-winning composer, professor at UCSD, recently won the, I said that already, recently his opera, The Central Park Five, finally went to the Metropolitan Opera, and Malcolm X went to the opera and the Central Park Five, also done in Long Beach. He's been a presence in Southern California for a long, long time. He's an amazing pianist, too, a formidable jazz pianist. And he puts that very much into this piece. I'm playing a movement called Turquoise, which was written for my Root Progressions project, which is a recording that just came out earlier this year of jazz composer improvs, jazz improviser commissions.
Do you mind that the microphone's maxed out? Can you
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
that's okay.
Sorry about that. It's a.
If you make it closer.
Oh! I misheard you. Okay, now you can hear me. Anyway, this is Turquoise by Anthony Davis from a suite called Piano Heaven that was written for me just a couple years ago. It's part of a brand new recording that came out in January of commissions to jazz improvisers, whom I was interested in finding out what they would do if confined to a classical pianist and notating a piece. So this is Turquoise. It's a meditation on Duke Ellington, who named all of his movements, all of his music had the color blue in their titles. So the next piece is sort of in the same vein, but was from a different project. I'm going to play a movement from Conversations by John Williams. This was a different project in which I was curious about what composers who are really renowned, mostly, or if not only, for their film music, what they would do if left alone and left to just compose a piece for solo piano. So the other composers were, and I'm going to play one more piece from that project later today. The other composers were Bruce Broughton, who wrote the early piece, now I'm blanking on the name of the Silverado, thank you. Yes, Silverado. I haven't seen the movie in a long time. Alexandre Desplat, who's known for Benjamin Button, Argo, won the Academy Award, I think, for the French Connection, or one of the Wes Anderson movies. Desplat, Don Davis, who wrote the entire score to The Matrix, the trilogy of Matrix movies. Michael Giacchino, who most recently The Batman and a lot of the Marvel, and won the Academy Award for an animated movie called Up. John and Randy Newman. So this is the contribution from John. It was in 4 movements. The first movement was written for me for a Tanglewood recital, and then he kept on getting more ideas. I have another movement for you. So the piece grew into this monster. And he also, like Anthony Davis, happens to is still a formidable pianist. And he grew up playing a lot of jazz gigs when he was in the service, and still can really get around on the piano. So he was tapping into his jazz roots. And in this movement, the title is Strays, Duke, and Blind Tom. Strays, Billy Strayhorn. Duke Ellington, and Blind Tom, a pianist who was very, very well known in the 19th century as a blind, formerly enslaved pianist. Quite amazing. So he, as with Anthony Davis, he mixes together, somehow amalgamates all of these jazz stylings into his own contemporary idiom. The perennial question about John Williams is that his concert music does sound different from his movie music. You will hear fewer whistleable tunes, and he's obviously so gifted and has written so many indelible melodies. This is more him, I think, kind of having a ball and just messing around with all these jazz motives that he just has fun with it, I can tell. So hopefully you will too. John is such an elegant person, you know, when you meet him, and he went wild. That's when he lets his hair, what hair he has, hang out. I love that movement. The other movements also tap very much into his jazz background. And the slow movement is called Chet and Miles. And when I explain that piece to audiences, I always say that I can almost smell the stale beer and the peanuts and the sawdust and anyway, it's a wonderful suite called Conversations. So the next piece is, again, back to my root progressions project of asking known jazz improvisers to write a notated piano piece for me. So this is by Gernot Wolfgang, who was a big presence in Los Angeles. I think he may even have had some music performed on the Celestina series. And he's now living in Santa Fe and has a background as a jazz guitarist, and came through the Berklee School in Boston for jazz education. And this is a movement called Shift, from my root progression. So the title of the piece is Two Movements, so this is the second movement. It's called Shift, and it taps into a very well-known jazz idiom, which I think you'll recognize. And the reason that the title is Shift is something that I think also, just by hearing it, I think you'll understand. Thank you. Now we go to the big piece, the big music. So this is the piece that Pierre Boulez wrote for my wedding. And the more years pass, the more I am really touched and moved that he did this. The title is Courtes, dérives à partir d'éclats. Dérives is the title of a piece that for large ensemble, small orchestra, large ensemble, that I played with him, and also Éclat is a piece that I played with him. There's, I think, one person in the whole city that may have played Éclat aside from me, and that's Ralph Gerson here, who played it before I did. And both of these pieces I played with Boulez as part of the LA Phil. You know, I was playing second keyboards with the LA Phil for about 20 years. And these pieces came to me kind of under very stressful circumstances, with program changes happening and just things getting moved around. So I think that's the reason that he chose those two pieces to reference in the title. And the gestures also are taken from both of those two pieces. If you don't know those pieces, that doesn't mean that much to you, but what I like about the piece is he attached a note to it saying, you know, this is a little toy you can play with. And so it's an open form piece. I can play the pages in any order. So I can switch it around each time. The only requirement is that the first page be the first page and the last page be the last page. So anything in between can be in any order. You'll hear that there's a chord being held by the sostenuto pedal, and some of those pitches will get caught up in the net, in the kind of arabesque type of gestures that happen. And sometimes they don't. Sometimes it just acts as resonance. There were going to be many kind of reimaginings of the pitch A flat, many kind of reharmonizations on that same pitch, as if he's sort of, and he's done this in some of his other music, where he's just kind of meditating on a certain chord or chord color. So I thought what might be fun, and I've never done this before, is you choose the order in which I play the piece. So what I'm going to try, I'm going to keep my first page here, and I'm going to keep my last page here, and then you just choose one, and I'll each page sometimes has just one gesture on it, and sometimes it has a more elaborate gesture. So you just don't know what's coming, literally. But as he said, it's a toy to play with, so we're playing with it. I'm holding the silent chord now. Thank you. I'm going to play two short pieces from another new album that just came out of the works by songs and short piano pieces by Erich Zeisl, who came over to the U.S. in the 1930s, 1938, and eventually settled in LA like so many emigres, so many people who were leaving Europe at the time. And he had some teaching jobs. He found some work in the studios. He composed the film score to the early, not the one with Jessica Lange and Jack Nicholson, the first version of The Postman Always Rings Twice, from the 1940s, I think, or early 50s. And these are short pieces, and another biographical note, he had a daughter by the name of Barbara. So these are a series of 14 pieces. They're called Pieces for Barbara. And as children's pieces go, they're really, I think they're much beyond the emotional scope for children, and technically too, they're kind of hard. And Barbara ended up marrying into the Schoenberg family, married Ronald Schoenberg. And Barbara is here, I think, today. And Barbara Zeisl Schoenberg is here, and her son Randall Schoenberg, who is in other words, the grandson of the composer. So this is Erich Zeisl. The first one that I'll play is called The Lonely Shepherd, and the second one is called In the Factory. Thank you. The next two pieces are also pieces that were written for children, kind of, although they're kind of hard too. You have to be a very talented child, I think, to play some of these children's pieces. Goes for Bartok also. All children's pieces are never that easy. So these are by Tomàs Peire, who also has been pretty well known here in Southern California and gotten a lot of performances on the Here Now Festival and at Jacaranda and things like that. Places like that. He's a UCLA grad, and really coming into a lot of international renown. He had a rather large number of accolades and prizes from the American Composers Orchestra, who performed his piece at Carnegie Hall, I think 2 seasons ago, a Beijing premiere of a piece by the Philadelphia Orchestra, conducted by Marin Alsop, and so he's really getting around, composing not just solo and chamber pieces, but rather large orchestra pieces. And he's now working on an opera to premiere in Barcelona at the at one of the large halls there. So these are two pieces that Tomàs said he used to teach piano students, and so when he was waiting for someone who was late, he'd just jot down a little piece. So he's had a set of 10 or 12 of these. So the first that I'll play is called Just Spring, and then I'll play one called True Story, very Schumann-esque. I think you'll all hear that if you know Schumann. And finally, Rush Hour. So 3 short pieces by Tomàs Peire, Just Spring, True Story, and Rush Hour. Thank you, thank you. And so I'm going to close with just a short piece. It's not a big closer piece, but it's a piece that I saved for the end because I think it's just so gorgeous. And I wanted to leave you with that. Not that the other pieces weren't. This is by Adelaide Pereira da Silva. She's virtually unknown in this country, and I had not even heard her name until my good friend Sarah Cahill, who specializes in female composers, told me about her. And so I've played a number of these Valsa Chôro. Chôro is a Brazilian, actually, it's a form that's very much lent itself to pop music, popular music, and dance in Brazil, in Brazilian culture. This is more. It's a choro and it's a and it's a waltz. It almost, the tragic nature of it almost obliterates the whole waltz, but I just think it's so incredibly expressive. And the emotional range of it shifts by the phrase. And I love it because it challenges me to find a way to convey these kind of shifting. It's as if you're in love and, oh, he loves me. Oh, he doesn't love me. Oh, he does. Well, maybe he doesn't. And, it's kind of, that's how I think with this piece. So.
Thank you, Gloria, for a beautiful, beautiful recital. Can we give her one more round of applause? So my first question is, there was such a big variety of music that you just played for us. Do you have any criteria or what is your approach to choosing the music that you perform or that you commission?
Well, I think that it's always fun to ask composers to do something outside of their normal. So that's where I got the montage, the great film composers and the piano group of 6 from that, just wondering what they do behind closed doors. And
actually,
then,
would you mind explaining to them the idea behind montage?
Montage was a project from 2016 or so, I think, where I asked 6 film composers to write solo pieces, and this is really, except maybe, even for John Williams, who does compose a lot of concert music, concerti, orchestra pieces, suites, lots of concert music. He had not written a solo piano piece since his student days. And for Bruce Broughton also, I think they were the 2 older generation composers on the project. Don Davis did some, but Michael Giacchino had never written a concert piece before, maybe in his student days. And Desplat said, he was terrified, I mean,
he seems like he's very confident.
Unprobable. No, actually, if you watch the movie, which just went free on YouTube.
Yes, I saw it actually. It's a lovely movie. You can go onto YouTube and watch montage. It's less than an hour.
It's 26 minutes because we did it so that perhaps it might go on TV, which it did.
Oh, fantastic.
So it's 26 minutes. But you used to have to rent it on Amazon, but now it's free on YouTube. So. In the movie, Desplat says, I never thought I'd ever write a piano piece, and I don't think I'll ever do it again. So it's hard. It's really hard to write a piano piece. So.
And Randy Newman.
Randy Newman also doesn't write concert music, but he produced just a gorgeous suite that referred to all of his uncles. In Hollywood. So
there are a lot of them who
one of the movements is called, Randy Newman had these wonderful titles. So one of his movements is called Lionel Newman Teaches Marilyn Monroe to Sing. Another movement is it's something to do with Carmen Miranda, and I am not Mexican. It's really quite kind of hilarious.
Perfect. So aside from film composers, when you are commissioning, or if you're looking for music from, I'm asking this question because we grapple with this a lot. There are a lot of composers who are writing music these days, and there's sort of a kind of ethos, or I guess an approach from their side that we look for, and I'm just wondering if there is one for you too.
It's not easy to choose, and there are so many composers now who now we hear about them. We didn't hear about them in the past. Now they're all out there. It's a really tough decision. I mean, something has to touch me. That's just the bottom line. And it's a big responsibility, and I think I've made a couple of mistakes. You don't end up always loving the piece that you get. This is the fact. And you're getting something from unseen, and then you commit to it. Right. So you have to choose carefully.
And once you commission a piece from a composer, how involved are you in the process before you get the finished product?
It really varies. Some composers like to send me some sketches in advance, and is this working for you? And if I'll rewrite anything that's too difficult or where I just kind of went overboard. And others just send me the piece very close to or after the deadline. And then I.
Actually met a deadline.
Yeah, maybe not. You gotta love them though.
I would love actually to come back to this idea of new music as risk, because I think that's really interesting when you're, you said something has to touch you from the composer, but fundamentally you're getting a brand new piece that you may or may not like. And any famous composer, we don't love all their music necessarily. So I have a couple questions related to that. The first is maybe, what in your personality kind of lends itself to sort of making peace with that? And, maybe a follow-up question would be, maybe a crude way of putting it, but what's your batting average? When you say I've made some mistakes.
Batting average 99.9.
Amazing.
Yeah,
That's solid intuition.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, it's a tremendous responsibility. Risk is what. It is a risk, but I just take everything. First of all, I have just the deepest respect for anyone who is a composer, anyone, and I love very different genres of music, very different style. I love rock music. My husband's been turning me on to kind of, Greek and that area from the Middle East, that kind of music with the different instruments. I love jazz. I mean, I love it all. I'm open to it all. And so, where was I going with that? Risk. Yeah. I admire that, and I just feel like if someone's going to take the time to write a piece and put it in my hands, I have to commit to it 100%. And oftentimes, my batting average is very good with ending up falling in love with the pieces, because sometimes it takes a little time.
Yes.
You don't fall in love with someone instantly. Maybe you do, but it takes time to get to know that the idiosyncrasies, the strangeness, the funniness of that person. And I try to hear the person in the music also, and that to me is kind of the key. If I don't generally ask someone that I've never met. It's always people who are in my circle, one way or another, even if it's someone online, but someone who's somewhere in my circle. And I always try to hear the person. It's almost as if you think of composers that have been denied the opportunity to say what they want. So they have to say it in music. So I have to try to find my way into their language. And I think growing up, in a Chinese-speaking household where my parents were very determined that my brother and I not get confused, and so they did not teach us Chinese, which I very much regret now. But trying to hear the sense of what they were saying in the inflections and in the tone and in just the emotional color of what they were saying, while not understanding the specifics. So I think that kind of feels natural to me, to try to find in a very abstract language that I don't understand the specifics of, to try to get what's the message, to try to find it.
How often, when you're kind of, standing on the mountaintop of your body of commissioned works and recordings and performances, are you able to look out and feel that the pieces that resonated the most with you struck a chord with others in the same way? Like, does that translate necessarily, or are there some where you feel like that one was really special to me, but that was its own moment in time?
No, I mean, I give all that credit to the composers, not to me.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I guess what I'm asking is, do you find that when you connect with a piece on that kind of deep, visceral level, or if something stands out to you, do you find that posterity agrees? Or is it too soon to say?
I think it's too soon to say in a lot of cases. I am very proud of having, this was not a commission for me, it was just an idea. I am very proud of John Adams's Hallelujah Junction for two pianos, because that was my idea. And Grant Gershon, who I think you all probably know, we were doing a two-piano recital when the Getty just opened their auditorium up on the hill. And so we were trying to figure out what to play, and I said, Grant, let's ask John, because he loves the sound of multiple keyboards, and he always writes multiple keyboards in his orchestra pieces, because I was playing with the orchestra at the time, and I knew that, and I was often playing those synth parts. So I said, but Grant, you ask. So Grant wrote this email to John and said, "Dear John, I just want to let you know that Gloria Cheng has this crazy idea that you might have time or in your busy schedule, or maybe even the inclination to write a little two-piano piece for us to play at the Getty." Now, I, as Grant, would never impose on our friendship in such an insolent manner and presumptuous. But I'm just telling you, John, so that you know who your true friends are. Wow. So he wrote this 17-minute piece that's getting a lot of, and he's very proud that Yuja Wang and the Icelandic pianist, Vikingur, yeah, that they just played it at Disney. He's very proud that it's really gone places. You know?
Before I stop hoarding the mic and give it back to Kevin, perhaps a follow-up question about that kind of bird's eye view. LA has become known as sort of a new music hub over the course of your career, and I'm wondering if you noticed any trends in terms of what accounts for that, how the musical culture has changed.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear a little bit about that history from your perspective.
I feel so fortunate to have landed in LA when I did, because very soon after I got out of UCLA, I was starting to work with the LA Phil, alongside Zita Carno, if some of you remember her, who was the principal keyboard player back in those days up until around the year 2000. And I had heard her play a recital at UCLA when I was a student there, and I just looked her up and I wanted to take a lesson with her. So that's how she knew of me and brought me in. And that's how I got to work with, everybody who came through LA. So LA has really matured, come of age as I came of age. And I just feel so fortunate. It feels like it's such an open place still, that there's still room for a new group to emerge. I think many of us were very disappointed when Jacaranda ended their, I think, 20-year series last year. And but there's room for new ones to sprout up, and they are sprouting up all the time. I mean, my students go out there and they start these little chamber music groups, and who knows? And this is amazing. I mean, this is just, really a fabulous accomplishment and a fabulous contribution to culture in musical culture in LA.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
it is.
So we were chatting backstage, and we share an alma mater. We both went to Stanford at different times, and you went there to major in economics. Is that right?
My parents.
Yeah. So were you concertizing at that time, or were you where were you in your career as a pianist?
Well, I still was taking the piano lessons. They didn't have a terribly distinguished piano department yet at the time. I mean, they were still. It was more electronics.
Yeah, it still is. I think.
Yeah, and which they now are. They've become, one of the world's leaders with that. But I wasn't that onto that yet, unfortunately. I wish I had been.
Yeah.
But I was still playing. I did a little recital in Chester Union and stuff like that. But no, I was pursuing. I did do a double major. I mean, you cannot get two BAs. So my BA is in economics with a double major in music.
I see.
So I didn't drop it altogether.
I see. Have you done anything with economics since then?
No.
So when did you get the new music bug? Like, what was it from the did you have teachers when you were young who emphasized that, or was there like a specific project or point in time where you felt, you were trained as classical music with all the canon of the repertoire and everything. I have a great pedigree. I mean, I studied with Abi Tserko at UCLA, and then I studied with John Perry. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So, I'd say Tserko was the one who really helped me, and my first piano teacher, actually, back in New Jersey, I remember she gave me
that white with sans serif font, very thin volume of Henry Cowell's piano music.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if any of you have it, but it still looks the same. It's just big sans serif Henry Cowell. And she gave that to me when I was about 14. And I don't know what made her think that I would actually, really get into it.
Yeah.
She also had me play people from her generation, Paul Creston and Paul Piston, those composers. So they were the currency of the day, of her day. And so I enjoyed it, and one I think seminal moment was when my friend Don Davis he said, would you like to make $50 because I have to find a pianist to play on this Nakusa concert. I said, yeah, I'll I was a student at the time. And so, and it had a lot of inside the piano stuff, and I just thought, this is really fun.
Oh, nice.
So.
Okay. So before we open up to the audience, can you tell us a little bit about your latest album, Rude Progression?
Okay. This is my new album. It's not a CD. I'll just show you. It's very ecological. This is your QR code. Each one has a different one. So this is your program notes. Your program notes here, all the photos and the credits here. And the program notes are all written by the composers with an introductory by Robert Kurzinger, who, if you ever go to Tanglewood, he writes the liner notes for the Boston Symphony Orchestra. And so we're gonna give this away, right? Right. As a prize. As a prize, if you can answer a trick question. If you now, I have to think of the trick question.
She thought I was going to ask it, but I was like, no, that's your job.
So the Erich Zeisl recording, Erich Zeisl married Gertrude, and they had a daughter named Barbara, who married Ron Schoenberg, who are here, and they begat Randall Schoenberg. What was the name? And Randall Schoenberg is a very prominent, distinguished lawyer. So he happened to get a certain painting back which was in the wrong hands, and it belonged to someone in his family. And you probably know the name of the painting. That's too easy. What was the name of the person who was the true owner of the painting?
Ryan Reynolds? No, just kidding. I thought that was who was in the movie.
Yes. You win the prize. Do we have a Zeisl CD to give away as a prize?
Almost everybody can have boxes of them. So Gloria's been out of the country since I received them from the company, and so there's a whole box
Oh,
we're giving away.
there's a Zeisl CD for everyone. So,
This is like Oprah. Everyone gets to see.
so no more trick questions. You all get a Zeisl CD. Sarah Herskowitz did the leader, and I did the piano piece, the solo piano pieces, the pieces for Barbara. So it's an album of songs and solo piano.
Okay. Do we know where they are and can we hand them out?
Yeah, we'll be handing them out.
Okay. Okay, we would like to open up, any questions okay? And there's we'll bring a microphone to you so that the live stream can also hear you as well.
This is like Oprah.
Gloria. Is this on?
Yes.
Okay, great. I've actually heard the piece you were talking about, the John Adams piece, Hallelujah Junction, twice at Disney Hall. Amazing. And what I want to know is when you're going to play it again for this venue.
I'll plan on it. I'll plan on it. Yeah, actually there is, I think John will be turning 80 in 2027. So I'm working on it. Yeah.
Okay.
And I want to say I very much enjoyed all the connections with UCLA that you mentioned today. I'm a professor emeritus at UCLA. I don't think you're in my classes. I taught biostatistics. Yeah, you might have been. But my question actually is about Pierre Boulez. He has the reputation of being gruff and very critical and so on. Can you tell us about another side of him that you personally experienced?
Yeah. Well, I worked with him many times. He came here regularly with the LA Philharmonic starting in the 80s. And he was always incredibly gracious on the podium. He never lost his temper. Maybe once got impatient with someone, but
Who was it?
no,
I'm kidding.
unfailingly gracious and professional and urbane and elegant. Warm. I think anybody who actually, got to interact with him would have found him very warm. I just did a series of concerts about his centennial, which was this year, and played one of his most kind of fearsome pieces. It's called Structures for two pianos, and I played two movements from that. Even in a piece like that, my effort is always to try to hear the human being behind it. And I think they're, for a musician of that stature, it's there. The music is there. Sometimes it feels alien, but I'm used to that. I grew up hearing a language that I didn't understand. So I think that's the way to approach these things. The languages are extremely expressive, but sometimes alien. And I mean that in a non-judgmental way, almost in a positive way, because it's such a joy to feel like you've tapped into it. Like actually, you get what they're trying to say without the words, without the and so that's always just mind-blowing and a joyful moment when you just feel like, oh, I see what they're trying to say, So, I don't know if that answered your question.
Okay, Reba has a question.
I wanted first to thank you for a marvelous afternoon, which I will never forget. And I want to ask your opinion about this. Whatever experience presents to us, it isn't quite real until we impose order upon it. Do you agree?
Did everyone hear the question? Maybe you better better say it. I don't want to paraphrase you. They didn't hear your question.
Oh, sorry. The question was, what does Gloria Cheng agree or not to the suggestion that whenever experience presents something to us, whatever it is, whatever form it's in, it's never entirely real until we impose order upon it?
I disagree, heartily, because disorder is kind of what it's all about. I mean, life is disorderly, and I think we just embrace that. Again, to bring it around to Boulez again, when Ralph and Rat, my duo pianist partner, were trying to make a program, we were thinking, we need something pretty. We need something that's going to offset the severity of some of the music on this program. We need something that an audience can just grasp onto. We found a couple of pieces, and one thing I did when we were having this discussion, I just Googled, what about Morton Feldman? Okay, he's a tonal composer, very easy on the ears. Feldman Boulez, what comes up? I had no idea. There's a quotation by Pierre Boulez having said that, quote, I was listening to a work by Morton Feldman. It does not matter which one. However, it's upon listening to that I understood that you could write a piece based solely on timbre, and that it did not need to develop. And it's at that time, that moment, that I decided to compose Éclat. So this was completely unknown to me that there was any connection between Morton Feldman and Pierre Boulez. And there it was. So I think in terms of orderliness, you know, categories and imposing order and thinking that this belongs here or that belongs there, I'm done with that. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I'm wondering what
Dorothy,
you think.
Dorothy
that.
has a question.
Hi. First of all, thank you for a magnificent concert. Really exceptional and beautiful and eye-opening.
Thank you.
And disorderly. My question, though, one of the things that was so fascinating about what you were telling us, one of the fascinating things you were telling us was the effort to transcribe, basically, jazz, which, as we know, is improvisational. Has a lot of that been done? I mean, it must be a tedious project, but have musicologists listen to a great piece of improvisational and try to write it down?
Yes.
And how does it look?
Oh, no, you know, there are many transcriptions of jazz solos online with, you know, score following videos. Yeah, it's been done because people are just fascinated. How did Bill Evans do that? How did Ornette Coleman do that? So, yeah, there are books of Herbie Hancock and yeah, all the great pianists.
Does it relate to a classical format?
Well, you know, I mean, Keith Jarrett would bring Keith Jarrett to the performance, and anyone else trying to do that would probably bring something different. And again, my friend Ralph Van Rat, he's doing concerts of the Cologne concert. And classical pianists, there is a transcription of the Cologne concert of Keith Jarrett, the iconic 1970s album. And so, you know, classical pianists have picked it up, and they're starting to perform it. Yeah. But these were not jazz per se pieces. Yeah. They were jazz inflected because of their background, but it was all notated for someone like me to play. Yeah.
We have time for one more question. And if no one has a question, then can we prevail upon you to give us an encore?
I can. You can.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
This is a piece that was also for the montage, my montage great film composers and the piano project. This is by Randy Newman, and it's the final movement of his suite. And this is called Outdoors, but Not the Red River Valley. And of course, he's referring to the Red River Valley was a famous movie from the 40s, so it's sort of like that theme, but not. And he ends with a very recognizable quote that one of his uncles, of course, Alfred Newman, composed, and which is kind of perennial now. So this is Outdoors, but Not the Red River Valley by Randy Newman.
so much for coming. Thank you, Gloria, for an unforgettable recital. Thank you, Randall Schoenberg, for turning Celestina into Oprah today. It's amazing. The Zeisl was one of my favorites on your program. It was beautiful, so thank you. Gosh, don't forget the flash sale, 20% off through tomorrow. We have mango creamsicles outside. Don't run away. Stay and chat with us about the recital. And Gloria, were there any mezzo fortes in the Randy Newman piece? Mezzo pianos? Okay. Yeah. Okay, the reason I'm asking is one of our favorite studio musician jokes was Randy Newman once went, mezzo piano, yes, the coward's dynamic. You can just see it, I'm sure. Anyhow, thank you, Gloria. Thank you, everybody. See you outside.